And joining me right now on the phone to get his reaction, the congressman from the 11th Congressional District here in North Carolina, Representative Mark Meadows. Congressman, thanks for joining me this morning.
It's good to be back with you. Thanks so much, Tyler.
All right, so what is your reaction this morning to Kathleen Sebelius saying that President Barack Obama had no idea, was not told anything about how bad this implementation of ObamaCare was going to be?
Well, it's very hard to believe for the American people, and for me. I mean, if it's his signature health care law, and yet he doesn't know how it's being implemented, that's one, very troubling if it's true. The other is perhaps he didn't know how bad it was going to be implemented, but the rest of us knew that.
And what I thought was, this morning I played a clip here on the program of Jon Stewart on The Daily Show back in May, because this same argument was made during the IRS scandal, during the Fast and Furious scandal, during all of these things that have happened in the administration. We are always told from the people directly below him that Obama is never told about any of these things, and I understand why they do it. It's to give him, deniability, so he can say, he didn't know that this was going to be happening. But it also troubles me that when he goes into the Rose Garden on Monday and tells us, that don't worry, I'm on top of it now, I'm going to fix things. How can we trust that he's going to be fixing things when he apparently isn't in the loop on when these things are being developed?
Well, you've said it exactly right. For him to deny that he knew, we're finding even on those Benghazi hearings, on the IRS hearings, most of them point to the fact that somebody very close to the president would know, and so I guess that he's just busy taking vacations, and nobody is informing him of what's happening in the real world. But for me, it's just a hard narrative to believe.
Now, of course, you are a big proponent of defunding Obamacare, but I know you've said here on the program that you are also a bigger fan of delaying it. Right. Now, we have seen some hope with regards to maybe getting the delay. I think we saw, I believe it was a senator from New Hampshire that came forward and asked this question. And we've seen reporters ask this question multiple times to Press Secretary Jay Carney. Do you feel that there is a possibility that this administration is going to admit that this just isn't ready for implementation and that maybe we should delay it for a year?
Well, 90 days ago, I said it wasn't ready for prime time, not ready to be implemented, and was one of the reasons why I said we should at least give the American people a pass right now, because we're not ready. And the White House yesterday acknowledged that a delay might be in line, and I'd say the only way that it is if they can't figure out a way to correct the websites, and I think they've got so many unbelievable systemic problems that there's no way to get them up and running in the next couple of weeks.
Now, what I've noticed is that one of the biggest complaints about Obamacare going into Obamacare has been the discussion of the so-called death spiral, which is that, the idea that everyone's rates were going to lower, we now know not to be true. We're not even hearing that narrative anymore from the administration or any proponents of the law, is that now they're admitting that, young people and healthy people are going to pay more money. We all knew that was going to happen. But we always thought the implementation wasn't going to work out the way it was. It just wasn't going to work. But I don't think anyone thought that the implementation this early with regards to just getting the website up and running was going to be this bad. Is that sort of the feeling that you're getting, maybe not just from Republicans, but from Democrats, that just this part that no one even thought was going to be a problem is turning into a big crisis?
Well, I must admit, I felt like getting a website up where people could go on and shop and comparison shop would be the easiest part of the implementation. The real hard part is going to be controlling costs and making sure that millions of people get their health care coverage. If it were me, I would have hired Google and said, figure out how to do it, and yet here we've spent, $600 million to come up with a website that can't even function.
Well, I don't know, because Google Plus wasn't the best, so maybe Google wouldn't have been the best company to hire. But I also almost wonder if maybe we should have seen this coming, because one of the biggest comparisons this president has made to Obamacare is he always says, it's like your cable bill or it's like your cell phone bill. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was dealing with her cell phone company. It was having such a difficult time trying to lower the minutes and data rate, and yet somehow they were arguing it was going to be more expensive. And so I'm wondering if maybe we should have seen this coming, because I think think most people that have dealt with cable and cell phone companies are probably had similar experiences to what's happening with Obamacare.
Well, you're right, and the problem is it's like dealing with only one cell phone company for the entire country, and if that doesn't give you nightmares, I don't know what would.
And now, going forward, here we are. We're about a couple weeks into the Obamacare implementation. Do you see this getting better? I mean, we saw the speech on Monday from President Barack Obama that assured us that he was taking care of it, that things were going to get done. Do you see this getting any better, or do you see this just getting even worse for not only the American people? Because some have argued, like Ezra Klein and some other actual liberal pundits have argued that the front end is actually preventing the bigger disaster, which is the back end of dealing with insurance companies who are getting improper data from the Obamacare exchanges. So if more people start signing up and the websites start working, some have argued that the problems are going to be even worse. Do you think this is all going to get taken care of, or do you think that it's going to be a bigger disaster unless we get a delay
Well, I believe it'll be a bigger disaster unless we get a delay. I talked to an insurance person yesterday in North Carolina, and they said here they are mandated to help out folks, and they can't even get the clearance that they need to make sure that they can enroll people properly, and they're one of the ones that are going to be signing them up. Not a navigator, but actually an insurance person that's going to be selling it, and they're saying that they're having a hard time. So we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here.
Well, Congressman Meadows, as always, I appreciate you joining me this morning. I know you're very busy. Of course, I know there's probably going to be a lot of hearings about what's going on with Obamacare. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on and at least fighting for the American people with regards to doing something to try and stop this debacle from fully, in my opinion, destroying the exchanges. But thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Well, it's an honor to fight with you and keep taking the word out to the folks that are listening. It's great to be back with you.
All right, once again, that was Congressman Mark Meadows from the 11th Congressional District here in North Carolina. Of course, one of the leaders in the defund Obamacare fight. And yes, that no longer is the case. But delay, for those that are wondering, does seem to be an option. We're hearing from Democrats that we might see a delay. And so that's not completely off the table, in my opinion. All right, let's take a quick break. I'll take your phone calls, 910-763-4000. We'll be right back.
Hey, having car trouble? Yep, can't afford to put gas in it.
Someday this country's gonna wake up.
You're listening to Tyler Cralle, only on 980 The